and really empowering others to say, this isn't all that you are. This story right now doesn't have to define who you're going to be. You can learn from it, but it's not the end destination for you. Oh gosh, it's such a big, huge question. Whenever anybody says that, what is my favorite thing on the planet? Chocolate Dr. Peppers. That's probably what you need to know about myself. I love chocolate and Dr. Pepper together. But actually, I used to be in the entertainment field, and then I had a stint in seminary in the ivory tower, and now I try to bring art and creativity and collaboration into the world. And I'm the oldest of 3, and I'm very bossy, and I live into my Capricorn self every single day. And like I told you earlier, all my pants are sassy. So I'm a big believer in living into who you were called to be, and part of that is being kind of that sassification of creativity out in the world. Ooh, defining moment for me. I think as a professional, it's when I had to transition from the entertainment world into the not entertainment world, which, let's face it, we all entertain, right? I was telling a church not too long ago, everyone's a televangelist now because you're having to be on screen all the time, right? But I think in all the ways that I used to show up, with lights on me and a stage and an audience and dancing and singing, and I knew how I needed to be because I was playing a role. And then I had to transition to figure out what role am I really deep down inside of me? What heart do I have, and how do I want to bear that out in the world through speaking and coaching and collaborating with people and working on projects? And I think that transition for me was really hard because suddenly I was the star of my own story, and how I wanted to be and the words I wanted to use and how I wanted to show up for people was really crucially important. It took me a hot second to figure that out. Well, one of my favorite techniques is to throw yourself a pity party. I mean, with whatever you drink, whether it's a juice box or wine, and all the sappy, sad songs, and stay in your bathrobe all day and lay on the bathroom floor. I think we don't give enough attention to the grief in transition, meaning that you have to give that space, right? So have a moment, throw yourself a pity party, and then get up and go outside. Go get busy, get moving, do something physical with yourself, and get out of your brain, get out of your heart, and let oxygen fill you up, because when your brain is filled with oxygen, you're filled with possibilities. And in that moment, I think you can see how to transition, how you want to show up, what change could mean for you. And when that happens, oh gosh, you're going to be totally unstoppable. I think I've had so many of them, and I think we all have those moments where things didn't go so right and we just wanted to throw in the towel. And I think for me, one of the biggest ones was when my brother was killed in a car accident, and my whole family just went by the wayside in what we thought we were going to be, right? This perfect family. He was the middle son. He was on his way to be a doctor. He wanted to be a doctor for NASA and space. And I was kind of the redheaded stepchild. I mean, not really. I mean, I am redheaded, but not stepchild. And the creator of the family. And I had a little brother. And in that moment, we had to come together as a family and decide what is next for us. And for me, that meant leaving a career that I thought I needed to be in, and figuring out what it meant for my kind of failing marriage and how I didn't want to do that anymore, and really empowering others to say, this isn't all that you are. This story right now doesn't have to define who you're going to be. You can learn from it, but it's not the end destination for you. And when I was able to do that work, I think that is really what has spurred me forward to help inspire other mojo makers to use that and to just unleash themselves with creativity and joy out in the world. Ooh, first and foremost, okay. Because I think when people are struggling, we want to just jump in and fix, right? We're a lot of fixers. If you're watching this, I have a total savior complex. I will say that all day long. I like to collect lost things and help where I can. That's me internally. But sometimes it's okay just to sit with someone. One of my favorite things to do is to say, what is something that you grew up with? So maybe it was Laverne and Shirley, right? I'm dating myself now, but and sit on the sofa with someone and sit next to them, share space with them, and watch something that gives them comfort. And then from there say, okay, now, what have you learned about yourself? How do you not feel like you're showing up? What is an internal value you hold that you don't feel like you're living out? And that's a good place for discussion, and then say, okay, we can do something with that now. We can create a possibility around that. If you haven't felt loving or like you are loved, there are ways to get you into loving, compassionate action that will begin to bring that circle back towards you. So I really feel like first you have to sit with someone in that space before you can move them to understand value. Well, I like energy, and I think energy is important, and I really believe in shifting energy. So if I'm in a funkadunk, because let's face it, I have those funky days too. I have those days where my mindset is mucky and gross, and I don't want to do anything. And I give that time. I literally will set an alarm on my phone and say, okay, you get to feel all these feels for 5 whole minutes. And when the alarm goes off, you need to go get doggy smooches or go get a chocolate Dr. Pepper or whatever it is and shake up the funk. And I think that is such an important way for me to stay motivated and say, someone else is having a funky day. And I'm a big believer in everyone that I come in contact with. I want them to just feel a little bit better after our encounter, whether it's a checker at a store or whether it's a person getting gas next to me. I just want them to be like, wow, she smiled at me, or there was something there. And if we would all do that, how much stronger would our world be, right? And how much more hopeful would our world be? How do I keep doing that? Gosh, I keep a journal. I'm old school, so I like to write everything down, and I keep Post-it notes in business. They're not a sponsor, but I keep them in business. So I like to write everything down. So anytime I get a nugget, or I see something, or there's a commercial that might have an inspiring message, or I'm watching something, I write it down because I never know what it's going to bring my way. Meaning that I think when you tell your brain, neuroscience tells us, when you tell your brain what to do, it will show up for you. So if I need a new tagline, I start saying, where are my tagline going to come from? If I want a new client and I'm not really sure what that person needs, I start paying attention to the needs that show up around me. I tell my brain, start working on that brain so that I can start working for others and show up in different spaces and serve people. And so for me, that's the way I do it, is just keeping a constant record. You never know what's going to come from that. Oh, fear, right? Fear is the fear and scarcity. They're twins. They love each other. They thrive in each other's spaces. Here's the thing. Our brain told us when we were, just coming up in the world, our brain told us, you're going to get eaten by the bear. You're going to get eaten by the bear. Run, run, run. And so your brain wants to keep you safe. And so anytime you're moving out in the world just a little bit, just a little tiptoe into the pool even, your brain is telling you don't do that because you might get eaten by a bear. And so I think you have to set that aside and go, today, what is one small thing I can do towards my dream? And then see how that felt. Because you're giving information to your brain to go, the next time, I can do that because that time I did it. And your brain thrives on that information, and so does your heart. And so that's what I would say. If you're afraid, what is one small thing you can do? Not the big giant thing, but what's the small thing you can do? And tell fear, thank you for keeping me safe, and I'm going to try this anyway. Well, I would say first and foremost, it's all about relationship. So if you are too big for your britches, as my grandmother used to say, then I don't care how successful you are. I don't want any part of your space in my world. And I think as our world becomes more and more connected globally through social media, through other interesting ways of entertainment, through streaming, etc., relationships are becoming more and more crucial and important. So I think first and foremost, who is of value? I talk a lot about your sparkle squad. So these are people that motivate you and cheer you and tell the truth to you, right? And I'm always expanding that. Every time I meet with someone, I'm thinking, wow, how can I pour into you? Not first, what can they do for me? I think that's a terrible way to live a life. And what I usually find is when you're showing up for others, then they will show up for you. And so for me, it's all about relationship first. Relationship, relationship, relationship. right? Well, I'll tell you a scary thing first. And that is, who are you reading? Who are you admiring? What TED Talks are you watching? Start following them. Put them in your squad, even if you don't physically see them. Like, show up when they're doing something online. Pay the $10 ticket and watch a Zoom with them. You will be surprised how they pour into you. And what I have found is you'll start a chat, usually, like in Zoom, for example, and you'll meet someone else that might know someone that might know that person. That happens to me all of the time. And so I think that's the first thing. The second thing that I would say definitely is, who do you feel good about when you've been in their presence? So those are people you need to be paying attention to. So if you feel good after sharing space or lunch or something with someone, put them in your sparkle squad, because that's your body telling you this person gives you life, gives you joy, gives you energy. So don't push them away. And the reverse is true. If you're feeling crummy after hanging out with somebody, let's take them out of your schedule for a while. You don't have to fire them from your life, but I think you have to maybe limit your exposure. Oh gosh, I love customizing creative solutions for people. If I could get paid to just help people birth ideas in the world, I mean, I'm not on Shark Tank, but wouldn't that be great? But I think that is such a great way to pour into people and help them find that nugget, that value inside of them that we were talking about earlier. So I love helping people do that. And one of the ways I do that is through keynotes and retreats and all of that. So if you're interested in that, check out my website, SuzanneCastle.com. You can find all sorts of goodies and freebies there and whatever. But I think the one nugget I would say is, please don't feel like where you are right now is where you're destined to be. Because I don't believe that stuck is a destination. So if you're feeling that today, find someone who will help you creatively see what is one way forward right now today. What is one way how today, and start taking that journey.